people in rural areas in KwaZulu-Natal who rely on short-term employment are struggling to make ends meet during this continuing nationwide COVID-19 lockdown. I want to get a sense of what's people going through on the ground. I want to bring in Ayanda Mhlongo. She's live for us in Ulundi in KwaZulu-Natal. A very good morning to you, Ayanda. What are you learning? What are people telling you with regards to some of the struggles and some of the frustrations that they're going through during this lockdown?
Yeah, very good morning to you, Blaine, and good morning to our viewers. Well, certainly it appears that since the country went under lockdown, it has been very challenging, I suppose, for many people in the country. But what we're finding is that more so for rural communities, as you said there, Blaine, that many people in these rural areas, and particularly in the area where we are, it falls under the Zululand district, which is regarded as one of the poorer districts here in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. It's an area that has an estimated million people with over 180,000 households. So many people in these areas rely on odd jobs. They work through the government's EPWP programs, which provide only temporary jobs for many communities here. Many members of these communities, and also many work or have informal workers, informal traders as hawkers. And so over this period, they're saying they're beginning to feel for them, particularly for themselves and their children, how this lockdown is affecting them. But Blaine, I think it's important to say that we were here not a long time ago, just before the lockdown, and just seeing and observing how people and what they understood of COVID-19. I think firstly, it's encouraging to see that on the next time that we visited here, we're finding that people know, understand, have a lot more information about COVID-19, and they do understand the reasons why the government has had to put the country under lockdown. But they're saying that it is becoming very difficult for them. A lot of people rely on social grants, which they say are nearly not enough. In one of the homesteads that we visited, there are over 40 family members, with only a few of them receiving those grants. And they're saying it's not enough for their needs, and particularly food. We are told that about 250 households do not have food in this district. And so it's become a really dire situation for community members here. A lot of people are home, those that work from faraway places, those school children that go stay in hostels closer to their schools, they are back in these communities. And also this is really affecting children. We know that the school feeding scheme allows for children to get the 2 meals at school. And so this time they're saying that the children, because they are sitting at home and the schools are closed, are unable to get those 2 meals. And so now relying on these social grants mainly that their parents and grandparents are receiving. And this is just nearly not enough to feed their families. But let me just quickly now bring in one of the residents, Baba Umaqhinga Sikhakhana. Baba Sikhakhana, sibonga kakhulu nje isikhathi sakho. Siqale nje sabuza ukuthi mhlambe ulwazi lwenu mayelana nesifo lesi i-COVID-19 noma i-coronavirus le izwe elibhekene nayo kwamanje, seninalo ulwazi?
Ayisesenalo lo ukuthiwa njalo sijwayele ugeza izandla, sesitholile ngalokho ke.
Okonye kodwa kokubalekile nesenikhala ngakho baba ukuthi isimo sokuthi ke sendlala uhola impesheni nawe ushela ukuthi uhola impesheni, kodwa manje baningi abantu okufanele ukuthi ubondle ngayo le mpesheni, ayanele imali ukuthi ukwazi ukuthi wondle umndeni wakho.
Yebo kunjalo, ayenele impela, ayenele imali engiyitholayo kuhulumeni. Yona ngiyayithola, kodwa manje ngoba kuqhubeka nezimo nje zinje, abantu bengasasebenzi, ifana nemali engekho noma ngiyitholile. Yebo.
Mhlawumbe nje niphela kanjani manje? Ngiyazi nabafuweni bebehambe babamba lo matohwana, kodwa manje ubusitshela ukuthi kwalo matoho manje amile.
Kusho ukuthi nje ilokho kuphila, njengoba mnade ngisayitholile nje le malana ke encane. Sisadla lokho okuncane. Laba abanye abangabafowethu akukho lapha abathola khona. Ngesimo somsebenzi uthi awukho. Yebo.
All right, thanks, Siyabonga kakhulu, Baba Skakan. Mr. Maqhinga Skakan, they're just plain obviously telling us that he receives a social grant, but it's really not enough to feed his family. Also saying that his brothers do go out, were going out and getting those odd jobs in the towns nearby, but because of their lockdown, they're unable to make that extra bit of money to come back and feed their families. So it is appearing to be quite a dire situation for some of the residents in this particular area. And many of them saying that although they are struggling and it is difficult, they are appealing for assistance. Food is the biggest challenge that they have now, is that they're running out of food and they would want assistance for them to be able to get food. And they're saying that they do understand the reasons why the government has put the country under lockdown. And plain just our observation as we were making our way here is that rural communities really seem to be complying. Very, very few people that we've been seen moving around on the roads, very, very few cars that are on the roads. And when we ask them, and they're saying that for them, it's important that they sit home, that they comply with these regulations so that we can get over this 21-day period and so they can go back to their jobs and are able to feed their families. I think a lot of people who travel on the roads plain would note that even along the way, there'll be people the arts and crafts who are selling mostly to tourists. And because of the lockdown, there aren't tourists, there aren't enough vehicles that are traveling by. And even the hawkers in this part are telling us that for them, they rely on a lot of people that are coming through their taxi ranks, and there's no movement of people in this area. And so even though there has been some relief insofar as the informal traders and the hawkers are concerned, that they are able now to go out and sell to sell food and sell their goods. But in this particular area, they're saying that that's not helping them because they still can't. They simply aren't enough customers for them to sell to. And this is the situation that this community is faced with, plain.
The situation with regards to any spaza shops in the nearby areas so that people can go and get their essentials. We're talking bread, milk, etc., that people need on a daily basis, because government is saying that try not to travel too far outside of your area you live in because it goes against the basic principles or mission of what we're trying to achieve here, is to stop people, moving around en masse in order to get essentials. Talk to us about what you're seeing in that area in particular in terms of access to spaza shops.
Blaine, mostly spaza shops are located in the townships. In every street in the township, you'll see a spaza shop. In rural areas, it's completely different. A lot of the communities in rural areas have to travel to nearby towns in order for them to get the essentials. If there is a spaza shop, one might still have to walk about 10 or 15 kilometers to get to that spaza shop. And so it still, for them, means they still need to get into a taxi to be able to get to that nearest spaza shop. They are very, very far away. And so this is what they've been trying to tell us, that for them, it's really, really impacting quite hard this lockdown on these communities, because even the cost for them to travel to these nearby towns is quite pricey. I mean, this area, we are told that it's over 100 Rand or so to get to the nearest town. And so you can imagine that somebody is receiving about 1,000 Rand or just above for their social grant, that half of that money needs to go towards transport. You don't go once to town, you probably have to go on several occasions. Clinics as well are far. In this particular area where we are, there is no clinic. And so the community needs to travel quite a long distance for them to be able to get to a clinic, for them to be able to get to a hospital. And that's eating at this little money that they have. And so the situation, plain, that these residents here are faced with is quite dire. And they're saying to us that they really, really need to get this lockdown over so that they can be able to go back to their normal lives.
And is the water situation in KwaZulu-Natal? Some of the areas that you visited, didn't have adequate supply of water, especially during this lockdown period. Government has given an undertaking to provide water tanks to the various communities that need it. What's the situation? Has things improved? What are you seeing? What are you hearing on the ground in terms of the water situation?
Yes, certainly, Blaine. When it comes to the provision of water, there has been a great deal of improvement. As we were making our way to the villages that we last visited when we are here, there are now people have been provided with the JoJo tanks. My colleague Tulani is just, in fact, panning now to a JoJo tank. You'd remember that in the community that we visited when the last time we were here, we were told that they will receive water once or twice a month, and we're now being told that they are receiving water on a daily basis and sometimes twice a day. And so they're very, very much grateful for that. Very, very excited. As we were driving along, we could see blue barrels full of water. And so insofar as the delivery of water, the communities are saying that indeed there has been an improvement, and they're really, really grateful that they now are able to get water. Blaine.
All right, Ayanda, thank you very much indeed for your reporting. Tulani as well. Greetings to you guys. Important issues to be discussing during this time in terms of how people are coping during this lockdown. And just if you have any water issues, remember this has been now centralized. So the number you can dial if you have any water issues is 0800 200 200. 0800 200 200. That's the number the Minister Lindiwe Sisulu gave the other day. It's if you have any issues with regards to water and sanitation, that's the number to dial. 0800 200 200. Ayanda Mhlongo there, Tulani Ngobo, live for us in Ulundi in KwaZulu-Natal.